Okay, so my name is Hannah Johnston, and today I'll be presenting my project on Apis mellifera and the impact of commercial farming on their foraging abilities. Before I get into the research surrounding this topic, I'd like to tell you why Apis mellifera is important. To begin, Apis mellifera is a model organism. This means that scientists have decided that this species of bee is ideal for the study of their social behavior. More specifically, with the recent release of its genome sequence, the honeybee has emerged as an excellent model for molecular studies of social behavior. Foraging behavior is one of the things being studied through this new information. It takes thousands of genes to express this behavior, according to one study. They are also a bioindicator of environmental pollutants, specifically heavy metals in urban areas and pesticides in rural areas. Both of these pollutants can be a direct indication of farms, both local and large scale, not using diversified farming techniques. The specific research question I will be seeking to answer today is, how does commercial land use affect a honeybee's ability to forage successfully? First, we will look at the impact agriculture in general has on the wild and managed bees populations. Wild bees are those that humans do not interfere with, and managed bees are ones that beekeepers care for and even rent to farms as a result of the decline in the wild bee population. If the trends found in Figure 1 continue, the demand for managed bees will increase tremendously. In Figure 1, we see that changes between the relationships within pollinator-dependent crops, and pollinator-dependent crops are things like soybeans and cotton, and the abundance of wild bees from 2008 to 2013. The graph was derived from a random sample of 10,000 locations across the United States. A negative correlation is found in these changes, and therefore this means that the relationship between changes in the dependency-weighted crops and wild bee populations are causally linked. Okay, so Figure 2 is derived from a study looking specifically at the western honeybees foraging with monocropping of soybeans and diverse farms, including fruits and vegetables. Diagram refers to the monocrop, and div-fv refers to the fruit and vegetable farms. A test named the permutated multivariate analysis of variance, also nicknamed MANOVA for short, is used to test for the significance between the bee communities in the farms and compile the results. This graph indicates that the probability of MANOVA shows no significant difference in the bee communities between the two farm types. This means that the results suggest there is no benefit to diversifying farm types, and in general points to the fact that land use used for the purpose of agriculture has a larger impact on Apis mellifera than anything else within the farm community. Finally, in Figure 3, we look at some results from a study that narrowed in on wild bees that live in agroecosystems and analyzed the effects the landscape has on them. Apis mellifera is included in the social bee category of the study. Social bees may be more sensitive to habitat isolation and human disturbance than solitary bees, and this study classifies social bees as eusocial bees, such as Apis mellifera, and semi-social species like most bumblebees are. The interesting thing this graph depicts is that vegetation diversity and the conventional crop fields being high yielded the same results as fields that are managed through organic means and have low vegetation diversity. The same study also notes that in some parts of the world, fields that are managed through organic means are increasingly becoming monocultures, and large ones at that. This trend could prove to be catastrophic to wild bee populations, as well as their pollination services. The conclusion that can be drawn from Figure 3 and those findings is that organic farming, when increased in scale, can become more harmful to social bees and vegetation density than conventional farming practices. The conclusion that I am able to draw from my research is that commercial agriculture is problematic to the western honeybee. Because commercial farms require the removal of vegetation that bees are already used to and easily accessible within the radius around a hive, this inhibits their foraging abilities. When commercial farms use monocultures, and don't invest in diversified farming techniques, this just adds to the problem, which is why cultivation systems should work to include diverse and abundant floral resources for bees if they are involved in the commercial agriculture industry. This would also benefit their crop yields because the bees would be more successful at pollinating. All in all, diversified farming techniques are better than nothing, and especially better than commercial ones. The significance of understanding how commercial agriculture affects bees' foraging abilities is that bees are the primary pollinators in many areas of the world. Pollinators in general are threatened by land use involving fields with high chemical inputs, so removing more of their habitat through activities like grazing, tilling, and mowing removes more of the necessary vegetation for their survival. A balance between commercial farmers and nature is needed because a sharp decline in pollinators could result in a sharp rise in preventable disease such as heart disease. This is because people's diets with fresh fruit and vegetables would be impacted. This concludes my presentation, and I just wanted to take a second and thank you for listening.